Hey everybody, I'm Samurai Sam, and today I'm going to talk to you about all of my Sega Dreamcast games. And this video is probably not going to be terribly long because I don't have really that big of a Dreamcast collection, believe it or not. Part of that is because a lot of their games got ported onto other systems, and usually I prefer to have the ports, which are usually superior. I'm also not the biggest fan of the Dreamcast controller, but Dreamcast does admittedly have quite an impressive library for a system that had such a short prime lifespan. Like, it was really less than 2 years that the Dreamcast was, like, in full production, so it does have quite a library. So here we go. We got Atari Anthology. Sorry, it's not Atari Anthology. It's Atari Anniversary Edition. I actually already showed off the PS1 version of this game. This version is better. It has, like, I think a couple more games, and it doesn't mess up the vector graphics like the PS1 version did, as far as I can tell, because I didn't really... Unless there was a way to fix that in the PS1 version, I didn't see it, but I don't think so. But this version, like, is what I would want. And it's got Asteroids Deluxe on it, which is a cool, underrated, or overlooked anyway, cool game that I enjoy. So yeah, I definitely, I don't know if it's the best Atari compilation out there, but I didn't pay a lot for it, and for me, it's worth having. We've got Bang.io. This is a game from Treasure. You know, the Gunstar Heroes people, I bring them up every now and then. And this is a game about blowing stuff up. Like, basically, if you're not, like, constantly using your big blow-up attack, you're kind of playing the game wrong. Like, basically, you shoot things, and as you shoot things, this meter goes up, and, like, you keep getting recharges on your big blast attack that blasts everything. And there's, like, two different characters you can switch between that each play differently. And, like, you basically, I haven't described, like, how the game actually plays. Like, it's a 2D game, and you kind of, it's kind of like freeze. You have a mech and you can fly, so like you go around the levels. Like they're not like scrolling levels or anything. You just fly around them and you're trying to like kill a certain boss or whatever. And I don't think it's that great though. Like it didn't quite meet my expectations. I don't remember exactly. It was actually years ago that I really sat down and played this, but I remember like some things about it not being that likable to me, but it is a fun game. It's not like a bad game or anything, and there's a lot of humorous Japanese kind of anime style cutscenes in between, or dialogue rather, not like actual cutscenes, but like, you know, anime drawn characters having dialogue boxes where they say really silly things. So if you like that, then you'll be amused by that as well. We got Choo Choo Rocket. This is I guess you'd call it a puzzle game. It involves mice, and you basically control a cursor, and you place tracks on the You place tiles on the board that have an arrow on them that change the direction of where the mice are going, and you're trying to get them into the spaceships and away from the cats. There's a couple different modes. Like one of them is like a puzzle mode where like you place everything and then watch it all play out, and another one is real time where like they're moving while you're moving the cursor around and placing tiles. But the real selling point to this game is the multiplayer. This game is a very fun game with 4 people, and a lot of really crazy things can happen, and it's yeah, I recommend it. If you have a Dreamcast and you have 4 controllers and friends willing to play, it's definitely one to check out. This is Cool Cool Tune, a Japanese-only rhythm game by SNK. And I have to tell you, this game is a very fun game, very overlooked rhythm game. Basically, the gameplay involves you use the joystick, the analog stick, to position your cursor, and the face button. You press the corresponding face button when it lines up to the music. And the music is good, graphics are good. Gameplay is good. It's just a really solid game on the whole. I think there's 2-player. Yeah, there is. There's 2-player. I don't think I've ever actually played it against anybody, but I really enjoyed playing through the campaign of this as one of the 2 playable characters. I definitely recommend it if you like rhythm games. Crazy Taxi, one of the more popular Dreamcast games, and popular arcade game from Sega back in the late 90s. This involves, well, it's a very unrealistic sim. It's not a sim at all. It's a very unrealistic taxi driving game where you drive around and you pick up passengers and you drive them to their destinations like by any means necessary within the time limit. And you have a very limited time, and like whenever you drop off a passenger, you get some more time on your clock. You just keep going until you run out of time, and it's really fun. It's really crazy. Like obviously, it says it right there in the title. You can go like off the roads, you can run into things, like there's no regard for traffic laws or anything like that. It's just a fun, frantic arcade style game. And it's got some extra modes for the home version, like challenges and stuff. I've never actually gone through all of them. I should do that at some point. But I recommend Crazy Taxi. It's a good game. And then Crazy Taxi 2, which is kind of more the same, I think. I honestly can't say too much about like what's different about this one. I don't know if it's just like new maps. I don't know if there's any new gameplay mechanics or anything. But, you know, I like Crazy Taxi in general, so that's why I have this. I played the first one a lot more. Really only like barely scratched the second one. Elemental Gimmick Gear. This is kind of an interesting game, but I can't really tell you that much about it. I think it's kind of Zelda-ish, but like more than that. Like there's something to do with mechs, and there's like some kind of a 3D fighting mode or like type of battle that happens sometimes when you come across another enemy mech, and it's kind of unusual. It seems interesting. I can't really give like a full opinion on it because it's one of those that many games that I haven't really played. Evolution, The World of Sacred Device. I believe this is like a roguelike RPG, if I remember right, like kind of a more dungeon crawly kind of game. I can't really tell you too much about it. Let me see. Yeah, randomized dungeons. So yep, I think that's pretty cool. I like randomized stuff. So yeah, I'll have to give this a chance sometime. Pretty sure this game is still pretty cheap. I got this for like $5 a long time ago. But yeah, there's also a second one which I don't have. So if you like that kind of thing, you have a Dreamcast, it's probably worth checking out because it's cheap. Ooh, one of my absolute favorites on the Dreamcast, Grandia II. So I already talked to you about how much I love Grandia 1. Grandia 2, I'd say is not quite as great as Grandia 1, but is more than holds its own and very worthy entry to the series in its own right. It's not, the story has nothing to do with Grandia 1, completely different setting, characters, and all that. But it has that great strategic battle system from Grandia 1, and a lot of cool, fun characters in this one. I like the voice acting. It's got some pretty noteworthy voice actors, like some Metal Gear voice actors even. Like you got Cam Clark, and you got the guy who did voice the Colonel, voices one of the characters, and what's her name? I met her once. Jennifer Hill is in this too. Jennifer Hill. And also the voice of the girl who played Ariel in the Disney's Little Mermaid is in this as well. Yeah, I really like the soundtrack, gameplay. It's just a really good game. I mean, if you like RPGs, then you'd be like Japanese RPGs, you'd be crazy enough to play this. It's super good. Gunbird 2, very good shoot 'em up from Sikio, I believe, originally made this, but Capcom actually developed this port. And this being a Capcom developed port, they actually threw in Morgan from Darkstalkers as a bonus playable character, which is pretty cool. And this doesn't like reinvent the wheel or anything when it comes to shoot 'em ups, but it's just a really solid shoot 'em up in general. And it's got like some kind of a melee attack that's more powerful that's you don't usually see in shoot 'em ups, so that's cool. And you got a bunch of different playable characters. Not like really that much to say about Gunbird 2. It's just a really solid game. If you like shoot 'em ups, it's definitely worth playing. You can get it on the Switch. And as the I'm forgetting exactly what it's called, but like there's a shoot 'em up collection that has the Gunbird games on them. The only downside in this case is that Morgan is not in that version of the game. So if you want to play as Morgan, you have to get it for Dreamcast. Jet Grind Radio. Now this game is very stylistic and got like I think this game has like cel shaded graphics and was one of like the first games ever to have cel shaded graphics. And basically like you're going around and you're spraying graffiti and stuff, and you're trying to like deal with this no good gang that's like trying to mess things up or something like that. And it's got a really good soundtrack, a unique soundtrack, very distinct style to this game. And the only problem though is that I just don't think it's that much fun to play. I don't think the gameplay is really that great. It kind of plays a little bit like a Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, only like, I mean, not really. Like you're skating around, but like there's not like no elaborate tricks really or anything. The controls are pretty simplistic. But like, I don't know, drawing graffiti and stuff, like you use the analog stick to draw the graffiti when you stop at a wall. And I don't know, I just remember playing the game and I just didn't really think the levels were all that interesting or whatever. But I definitely dig the game style very, very much. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. This is actually like 2 games in one. And I can't remember if they're 2 completely different fighting games or if like one of them is like an update of the other one, a la like Street Fighter 2 and all the revisions and stuff. But yeah, this is a fun 2D fighting game based on the popular manga and anime series JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and you can play as a couple of the animal characters, which is funny. And Pet Shop the bird is really broken, yeah, it's a 2D fighter, and you have there's some interesting mechanics with the stand, which is basically like this. How do I describe a stand if you don't know what a stand is? I mean, if you've played Persona, it's kind of like that. Like you just summon like this being kind of out of nowhere that's like, it's not you, it's like a different thing, but like it's not its own entity. It's like a spirit that comes out of you or something. Every character has their own and they all work differently, and it's pretty good. I played this with friends and it's a solid 2D fighting game I would recommend, even if you're not familiar with the material. Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver. This is a like a 3D action game, and I can't say too much about it. not sure if like I'm ever actually going to bother playing this one, but I know a lot of people who do like this game or liked it back in the day. Yeah, can't say too much about it. It's like a 3D action adventure game. I know I'm not doing it justice, but hey. Marvel versus Capcom. So I discovered this game in an arcade, and I think it was August of 2000, probably. It had already been out for a while at that point, but I didn't have the internet at home. I wasn't really that well versed in what was going on in the gaming world. But like I was blown away by this game when I first saw it. I had never like seen the Capcom versus series before, so when I saw like Ryu and Zangief against like Spider-Man and the X-Men, my mind was kind of blown, and the game didn't disappoint. So a lot of fun, frantic action, and this takes it a step further by having like duo team attack, which is a really crazy thing where you have both of your characters at the same time. Just a really fun, frantic 2D tag team based fighting game, and definitely recommended. But what's even more recommended is Marvel vs. Capcom 2, which is one of the most popular 2D fighters ever, really. This takes it up a notch by increasing the number of fighters per team to 3 instead of 2. So it's 3-on-3 fights. There's just a ton of characters in this game, and it's just really fun. A lot of fun to play. So many characters, and just plays really well. It does have kind of a weird soundtrack, but like I'm okay with that. Gameplay is good enough so that it doesn't really matter. Just not the most balanced game in the world, and like I'm not the best at it in the world, but I'm good enough to enjoy it, and it's a fantastic game. Like if you like 2D fighters and you haven't played that one, what are you waiting for? Go play it. Mortal Kombat Gold. Now this is a updated version of Mortal Kombat 4, which was like 3D, but also mostly played like a 2D Mortal Kombat game. And this one adds like I think 5 or 6 characters from previous Mortal Kombat games, and improved ending cutscenes and everything. And but this game got a lot of flack when it came out, in large part because it came out at the same time as Soulcalibur, which was just a much more polished and complete fighting game. And so like a lot of people looked at this and just like, eh. But me being like back in the day when I was a big Mortal Kombat fan, I ate this up. I really enjoyed it a lot, even though like it's clearly not the best made game in the world. Like the combat system isn't as good as MK3, and it's can be a little bit buggy. Like they had to release this version right here is actually the original print run. They had to re-release like a newer print run with some glitches fixed. I mean, I enjoyed it. If you like Mortal Kombat, you like the characters, you like the setting and stuff, you'll have fun with this game. It's not, and the endings are very, very cheesy and silly, but like just don't take them seriously. Like if you can laugh at campy acting, you'll enjoy them. We got. I'm gonna pull out these 3 sports games here. We've got NHL 2K. We've got NFL 2K1, and we've got NBA 2K1. Yeah, the 2K games by Sega were big selling points for the Dreamcast back in the day, because Dreamcast obviously was ahead of the curve when it came to graphics and sound and stuff. So these were like the most realistic sports games anyone had seen. Well, I mean, 2 of these are the 2K1. They aren't the originals, but you know what I mean. This series was like probably the best sports games that had come out to that date overall. And they're just really well-made games. They're even fun to go back and play today, honestly. The only one I personally spent a lot of time with is NFL 2K1. I did actually play a lot of NFL 2K1 back in the day. And I enjoyed it. Like just really solid quality gameplay. And I like the announcers and like the creative team features and stuff, and just thought it was a lot of fun to play. And the cool thing with the VMU with NFL 2K1 is that you can select your plays on the VMU if you're playing with a friend, so they won't see what you're picking. I think that's neat. I mean, the games are dirt cheap now, so if you like sports games, they're probably worth a look if you have a Dreamcast, just if you missed them back in the day. We've got BoogaBooga. This is a kind of mini game-ish sort of deal. Like, definitely the emphasis here was on multiplayer, but I haven't had a chance to try this with friends yet, so I can't really tell you exactly what this game is exactly like or what I really think of it. I will definitely try with friends at some point when I get the chance. But this game really was obscure, didn't sell well, but it was highly rated, so it's probably worth a shot in the collection. I can't exactly tell you why, though. Power Stone 2, actually don't have the original Power Stone. These Power Stones 1 and 2 are kind of arena fighting games by Capcom. Well, I don't know if arena that's the right way to say it, but like basically they're 3D and they're not like your typical fighting game. Like you freely wander around the stage and you like pick up objects and try to whack the enemy with them, and you have like different characters with different abilities like guns or whatever, and you can pick up and throw objects. But you basically want to collect these 3 gems called the Power Stones, and then your character powers up into like a more powerful form, and then you can like really kick butt while the other character tries to run away. But actually, Power Stone 2 is a lot better than the first one because it's 4 players instead of only 2 players. And it's a fun game, frantic game, and really good with 4 players if you have 4 people who are into this sort of thing. Single player, I mean, it's all right, but like I wouldn't buy the game just for the single player. It's a game you want to get when you have friends to play with. Here is Project Justice, which is the sequel to Rival Schools on the PS1. And this version is actually, for some reason, the American release, they changed it a lot from the Japanese version. Like, they took out a creative fighter mode and instead replaced it with, like, some fighters that they created in that mode to be added as standard fighters. Yeah, it's kind of weird. I don't know why they did that. But, I mean, it is a very good fighting game. Like, I haven't played it a ton, but, you know, I like what I've played of both this and Rival Schools. They're good. They're, like, 3D, but mostly, like, play like 2D fighters, I think. This one is also a team fighting game, like MVC2, where like it's 3-on-3, but like I think a little less over the top than that. But yeah, good game, definitely. If you're into fighting games, you have a Dreamcast, it's one that belongs on your shelf. Rayman 2: The Great Escape. Now this game got like really high reviews when it came out. It's a 3D platformer starring Rayman. But I'm gonna be honest, I tried like playing this last year, and I wasn't really that impressed by it. Like, I mean, it was fine, nothing like especially wrong with it, but like, I wasn't really seeing what made it like really all that special. Maybe it's one of those you had to be there kind of things. But I mean, maybe for like 3D platformers, I'd say probably give it a look just because a lot of people love this game. But like, don't expect it to be like a 9.8 out of 10 like the reviews online said it was back in the day. This is probably the best version of it, the Dreamcast version right here. I will say that much. There's a few other versions, and I believe the Dreamcast version on the whole is the best one. We've got Ready to Rumble Boxing, which is a very humorous arcade. I mean, it's a boxing game, but it really plays more kind of like a hybrid between a boxing game and a fighting game, honestly. You've got all kinds of like silly characters with silly names and a fun announcer, and just a lot of fun. Definitely one to pick up if you have friends to play with. I'm saying that a lot. Like, I guess Dreamcast had a lot of quality multiplayer titles. But yeah, Ready to Rumble Boxing is good, humorous, fun, arcadey gameplay. Ooh, Samba De Amigo, and we also have here Samba De Amigo version 2000. I mean, really, this is like right here, in my opinion, the number one reason to own a Dreamcast today. You want to get this with the maracas controller. Otherwise, playing with a regular controller just isn't the same. These are rhythm games where you have 2 pairs of maracas that you hook up to your Dreamcast, and you like shake them in one of 6 areas, like up, middle, down, left, right, up. You know what I mean? 6 different zones around your body, and it's just a lot of fun, a lot of really good music, and just really quality rhythm gameplay, and really nothing else quite like it. Honestly, it's just a fantastic game. If you like rhythm games, then you definitely owe it to yourself to give it a try. Still truly exclusive to the Dreamcast, like the Wii Samba De Amigo. We don't talk about that. Sega Bass Fishing. I actually do have the fishing rod controller for this game, although with a regular Dreamcast controller, it still plays quite well, very respectably. But this is a very arcadey fishing game. I think actually you can play a mode on this that's more sim-like, but this is originally an arcade game, and you can be played very arcade-ish, where you kind of no nonsense, just go out there, throw a line, try and catch a fish. It's just fun. It's good fun. I think I don't know. It's simple enough, and I think the graphics and the presentation are all well done. There's like an announcer guy who is I find kind of charming, and you can eventually get to the point where you catch like really grotesquely unrealistic huge fish, which I think is fun. Definitely I recommend Sega Bass Fishing. It's a good cheap game. Even if you don't have the controller, it's fun with the regular controller. And we have Sega Bass Fishing 2, which is more of the same, I think, but like with probably more of it. This is one where like I've played like Crazy Taxi. I played the original a decent amount, but like I really haven't touched the sequel that much. And we also have Sega Marine Fishing, which is kind of, again, more of the same, but like out on the ocean. And this one, like I just haven't really played that much either, but it's kind of more of the same thing. yeah, even if your fishing games usually aren't your thing, they're probably worth a try because they're just good, fun, easy to play arcadey style games. One of the best Dreamcast games, Soulcalibur 1. It's been ported since then. Like it's on Xbox Live Arcade and PlayStation Network, I think. But Soulcalibur honestly, it was probably the best 3D fighting game of all time when it came out. And honestly, by now, I think Soulcalibur 2 is probably the best 3D fighting game ever made. That's my opinion. But yeah, not only was Soulcalibur already a great game in arcades, but this Dreamcast version, they pumped it up even more by improving the graphics, adding a bunch of modes, and I think they added more characters too. And it's just like a knockout, fantastic, killer app kind of game for the Dreamcast at launch. It was at launch. It was a launch title. I'm not talking right, because I sometimes do that in these videos. I try to rush things. But yeah, it's just a fantastic fighting game. Fun, easy to play, but with depth and a lot of good variety of characters. And it's just really fantastic. I mean, if you like 3D fighters and you have never played Soul Calibur, what's wrong with you? Seriously. Star Wars Demolition. This is not like the type of Star Wars game you would like really imagine if you're thinking of like ideas for Star Wars games. But like, I think this is like a vehicular combat game based on like vehicles from the Star Wars universe. And I haven't really played it, but you know, I like Star Wars and it seemed like a cool idea, so grabbed it when I saw it. Probably a good multiplayer game. It's up to 4 players, so if you got friends who are into Star Wars and vehicular combat, go give it a shot. There's also a PS1 version, but that's probably not as good. Star Wars Episode 1, Jedi Power Battles. This is, I think, like, mostly a 3D action game, and it's got, like, Jedis from Episode 1, Phantom Menace. And I think this is, I don't know if you can do versus, but you could definitely play co-op. And this is generally considered a pretty good game. You know, if you like Star Wars, give it a shot. We've got the next Tetris online edition. I had the demo disc for the PS1 version of this game many years ago. And, you know, it's Tetris. It's nothing, like, too crazy, but, like, one thing that's kind of cool is that, like, there's pieces that have, like, well, every Tetris piece is technically, like, made up of 4 little squares. And there are Tetris pieces in this game where the squares are, like, differently colored. So if they're differently colored, and they will fall apart if, like, there's gravity and nothing holding up the part that's differently colored. So, like, that's one of the draws of this version. Also, this was probably a draw because of the online play back then, but of course that's not a thing, really a big deal anymore. Typing of the Dead. This is really cool. This is basically House of the Dead 2 completely, like, reskinned as a typewriter game. Like, there's literally a Dreamcast keyboard. I have it, and enemy zombies come on the screen and they have words on their head and you have to type them to kill them. There's some bosses where, like, they'll ask you a question and, like, there's a Hydra and that has 3 heads, and each of the 3 heads will be an option to answer the question. You have to type the answer to that's correct to damage the Hydra. And so there's some really cool stuff like that in this game. It's a lot of fun. I'm actually a typist for a living, so this game I went straight to the hardest difficulty, and it still wasn't like it wasn't like a total cakewalk, but you know, I was able to do it. And yeah, it's a terrific game if you like typing and you like House of the Dead. What are you waiting for? Play it. It's totally worth it. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. This was a game was a big deal when it first came out. It basically like invented the blueprint for how to make a good extreme sports video game. Fun, addictive, easy to grasp but difficult to master kind of gameplay where you can like do air tricks and grind on rails for points and stuff. And it's really well made. The sequels 2 and 3 definitely outshadow this one, especially since 2X on the Xbox is basically Tony Hawk 2 with all the levels from the first game. So probably not the most reason in the world to play this one, but this is probably I'm quite sure this is the best version of Tony Hawk 1, and so it deserves a spot in my collection. Yeah, Tony Hawk 1 honestly is probably a little obsolete, but maybe worth a shot if you really like 2 and 3 or, you know, whatever. We got here Toy Commander. This is kind of I think this is also kind of vehicular combat, but not just combat. I think like the single player involves like doing just different missions that may involve killing something but may not. And you basically like play as different toys and you fly around a house and do stuff like you like toy helicopter, toy car and stuff. And yeah, there's like a multiplayer deathmatch for up to 4 players, which is cool. Probably not like a killer app, not like a must-have Dreamcast game, but you know, if it seems interesting, it's probably worth a try. Virtua Tennis, another one of those Sega sports games that was probably a big selling point back in the day. This is originally the arcade game, Virtua Tennis, and it was pretty popular. And yeah, it seems like a good game. Can't say that much about it. I mean, like it goes for being like a fairly realistic tennis game, and I think it does a pretty good job. We've got Wet Tricks. This is kind of a weird puzzle game that I've never really like understood very well. It involves like I don't even know how to explain it properly, but basically stuff falls from the sky and you control where it lands, and you want to like create valleys where you can place water, and like whoever has the most water wins, or you need to get like a certain amount of water to win, or something weird like that. It's very odd, and like when I've played it, I've really stunk at it. But you know, maybe I just have to go through like the proper tutorial and stuff. Seems like an interesting game. It's not that much quite like it. We've got WWF Attitude. Actually, I'm going to show you. Well, no, I'll just do them one at a time. Basically, the main reason why I have this game is because of nostalgia, because I played it at my cousin's house when I was a kid. I was never really that good at it, though. And then that's really the main reason I have it. It's not like anything really that remarkable when it comes to wrestling games. If you want great wrestling games, THQ's games on the 64 are better than this. You can actually get this for the 64 as well, Attitude. Yeah, I mean, I think they use the license well, the WWF license, but I'm pretty sure the gameplay just isn't the best. And then finally, here we have another game very similar to similar in concept to the last one, WWF Royal Rumble, in that the only reason I have this really is nostalgia, because again, my cousins had it, and I played it there, and I wanted to play it again with them, so I got it. And this is more of an arcade-style game. It's not like there's actually really not a lot of content in this game, which I think is one of the problems. But, yeah, it's kind of arcade-style, and, like, you can have a ton of wrestlers in the ring at once, although it's still only up to 4 actual human players. Yeah, it's not the best-playing wrestling game in the world, honestly, but, I mean, it's all right. It's not any great game. I probably wouldn't recommend it unless you, like, really want to try every wrestling game. And that about does it. That is my Dreamcast collection. Believe it or not, I don't have Sonic Adventure and Sonic Adventure 2 on the Dreamcast because I have them for GameCube, as you will see in a future episode. But, yep, we got that all done in one video. And stay tuned because, oh boy, PS2, which is going to be a whole series, is coming up next.